Today's episode is brought to you by IXL. All right, in this episode, we are getting into all things summer routine, wake-up schedules, work, chores, and academics. Now, listen, I am not trying to make this an academically rigorous summer, but I am trying to have my kids stay in touch with those academic skills so we don't have any regression. The best way to do that for our family is using IXL. We have Marley going into kindergarten, and our oldest is going to be a junior in high school. IXL covers pre-K through 12th grade. They have reading, writing, math, science, and more. The best part is, as your kid engages, it gives you real-time feedback so you can track progress as a parent. For me, it's a perfect way to loop in a little bit of learning with our summer routine without making summer feel like school. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And the Behavior Blueprint listeners get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/behavior. Visit IXL.com/behavior to get the most effective learning program out there for the best price. All right, summer is here. Well, not officially, but it is enough time to start thinking about what our summer plans need to look like. I know, like I mentioned last week, we all want to ease into summer, long days, beaches, pools, hanging out, barbecues, and that's amazing. But we have a home of 3 to 7 kids at any time, and it's going to be super important that we have a loose schedule. Now, I'm not saying like 802, you must transition from one activity to the next, but we do need to have a concept of what our days will look like and what our expectations are of our kids. Now, remember, in this household, we have a 16 to 4-year-old, so we have a wide range of kids. So on today's episode, I am going to get into our behavior contract, which I literally wrote with the kids last week, and I'm going to differentiate between the little kids and the big kids, and we're going to talk about some of the structures we're going to put into place. So all right, let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Mandy, the family behaviorist, and these are 3 of my favorite little humans.
Hi, I'm on this podcast. Let's do this.
Let's do this. This is the Behavior Blueprint, where we can figure out why kids do what they do.
Is that why parents yell sometimes?
Sometimes, because parenthood is messy, behavior is complex, but with the right blueprint, we can figure it out together.
Yeah!
Okay, so one of the biggest frustrations when it comes to summer, in my opinion, is the constant negotiation or the I'm bored or you didn't tell me I had to do that, all of those sort of things. Now, that has already started in our lives. It starts at any given moment. So in an effort to be super clear with our kids about what our expectations are around having friends over, pool days, chores, all of that sort of stuff, we wanted to lay it out to begin with. So on today's episode, I'm going to go through our contract with you. Like I mentioned, I sat down with my children and did it. So the ages of our kids are 16, 14, 13, 10, 9, 7, and 4. So first I'm going to go over the rules for the basically 10 and under, and then I'm going to talk about 13 to 16. Not that there's a huge difference between the two. There's just a few big differences. And to be honest, the 13-year-old is a little bit of a cusper. Our 14-year-old is super motivated and works a lot, and our 16-year-old has been applying to literal jobs, so that's all going to look a little bit different. I'm going to go through all of these, and I also have a free resource of this on my website. So if you want to use this as a template to either guide a discussion with your kids or implement some rules in your home, please feel free to do so. It's at thefamilybehaviorist.com under free resources. The other thing I want to mention is I am doing a webinar next Thursday, why do I always do this? The 18th, Thursday the 18th in the club. Remember on my website, the club is like our village. It's a place where everybody can come ask questions, and I host webinars on there as well. And on June 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am doing a webinar about how to tweak this for your home, what this might look, what's reasonable, all of those sort of things. One caveat before we get into this, I am not a technology expert. I am not an expert about what is age appropriate or any of those sort of things. So this is where we are starting with our kids just based on what we think might work. And this can be a document that we revisit, but as I mentioned in last week's episode, I feel better about going in with some structure and loosening as we go if we need to. I always prefer that rather than getting halfway through summer and feeling like I'm going to pull my hair out and trying to reinvent the wheel at that point. Okay, let's get into it. So in our home, we said there must be 3 chores done per kid per day before friends or screen time. I actually think I'm going to tweak that a little bit because I do think it's okay to have some lazy mornings of like a show or two. But I think I'm going to say after 9 a.m. So it's super important to me that everybody contributes to the household. We're going to talk about what exactly those chores are and what that looks like in our home in a little bit period. Okay. Invitations to go to friend's house or have friends over depend on a tidy room. Most importantly, laundry in the laundry baskets. Now, admittedly, I did not buy the best laundry baskets. I bought these, I think they were off LL Bean, and they're like canvas bags and they're very cool, except they kind of flop inward. And who knows where I'm going with this. The kids are throwing their clothes and it's sitting on top of the bag and then they pile up and ultimately it's not really working great. So if anybody has any recommendations about a laundry basket that has worked really effectively in their home, let me know. But along those lines, in my home, each kid has their own laundry basket and their own name on it, and they're responsible for bringing it downstairs when they need their laundry done. So Jerry has offered many times to help with the laundry, and honestly, the answer is no because I have a system. We can't combine kids. Each kid needs to have their own because it makes it easier to fold and put away, all sorts of things. But a constant struggle in our home is keeping our laundry in the laundry baskets. 2 girls and 2 boys are the biggest offenders. So trying to tighten that up a little bit so that it's less chaos in their rooms, I think will be really helpful. Now, I'm not crazy. I did say tidy room, and I could stand to define that a little bit more. Listen, the bed doesn't need to be perfectly made, but I would like the floor to be clean, the laundry to be in the laundry basket, and their bed pulled together to some capacity. That's about all I care about. The next part is physical activity 2 times a day for 30 minutes. And then I give examples of this. It could be the pool, biking, trampoline, lacrosse, running, walking, soccer. I did write e-bikes do not count. 2 of our teenagers have e-bikes. And I really wanted to separate this out. Not that it's an issue. We have very physical kids, but I think it's important to sort of lay that out. As I mentioned, it's a lot of fun things. Trampoline, pool, I don't care what it is, but I think it's super important that physical activity be a part of their daily lives. And I think twice a day for 30 minutes is probably a gross underestimate of how much they actually do. But again, I wanted to be super clear about what the structure of our day looks like. I said screen time is limited to 1 hour per day. Like I said, if the kids want to start the morning with a screen, that's fine. And I know that sometimes I have littler kids, especially Marley, sometimes midday, if they've been in the sun all day, they're exhausted. So there's some flexibility around that. And later on, I will tell you how more screen time is available. But I did sort of want to put a cap on it. Now, when we talk about the teenagers, obviously this looks a little bit different. They have access to a screen 24/7. So that's going to be a little bit trickier. But when I say screen, I guess I mostly mean the iPads for my kids, the TV, or video games. So just to be super clear about that, those are the things I'm talking about. Additional time can be earned with additional chores being done. Listen, if it's a rainy day, I'm not anti more screen time occasionally, but it's really going to depend on what the rest of the week has looked like. And I want to be super clear with the kids about that up front. One thing I want to caution you about is the constant negotiations. I'm working with a family on this right now. She has a teenage son who really wants Snapchat and Instagram. And we were talking about what might be realistic to earn that. And what might be realistic to earn that is showing that you have healthy habits with technology. So if it's like, well, I wasn't here yesterday, I only used 20 minutes, so I'm going to roll over 40 minutes, be careful about whether or not you can actually keep track of that. I am admittedly sometimes really bad with follow through. And so that can be a slippery slope. And remember, intermittent reinforcement, so responding on a variable schedule, is the strongest form of reinforcement. We use it for behaviors we want to see more of, but again, this is me as well. Often we unintentionally reinforce behaviors we do not want to see more of. So, for example, with the technology, if you say 1 hour a day, and then you're debating that you only use 20 minutes or you had 40 minutes, or can you come back and can I roll over, and you're responding to that inconsistently, which is somewhat inevitable, you are increasing the likelihood they are going to negotiate about this more frequently. So just keep that in mind. Also, one other thing I want to tell you is a bit of a caveat. It's never too late to drop your rope. This family that I was working with the other day, when we were talking about screen time, it was really cool because I was working with her and her son, which is a little bit new to me. I don't work with a ton of kids, but it was fascinating. And what was fascinating about it was I was able to see the way that mom was reinforcing his behavior unintentionally in the moment. So I was able to say, oh, okay, we're going to stop. And she, just like many parents, said to me, but I never give in. I know, but it's not about that, right? That would imply that it's about access. And listen, on the surface, it seems like it's about access, right? He's arguing with me because he wants access. Ooh, contraire. Maybe it started off as access, but if somebody's arguing with you and going round and round and round and you are never giving in or very rarely giving in, it's likely that it's attention maintained. Can I tell you the best part about this? The kid goes, yeah, it's kind of fun to debate her. Ding, 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 ding. Nailed it. Okay. So that's screen time. Again, this part is for the kids 10 and under. Library 1 time a week. And I wrote this in here for my 7-year-old. Books left outside will result in no library that week. We have a really big problem with leaving things outside. We're going to get into that a little bit more, whether it is shoes or socks or a baseball glove or a baseball bat or a lacrosse stick or I don't know, whatever fairy house they built or a book. We are very, very bad at this. So this is something we are going to get much, much better at. Since we're falling on our sword already this episode, this is something I'm terrible at. And Jerry's good at holding me accountable. But for example, I can't let the girls listen to this episode. The girls have like a pink ukulele and they got it for Christmas or something. And it was outside 3 times this week. And I had said to them numerous times, like, if I see it again, I'm going to throw it out. So last night it was left outside and I was outside cleaning up this morning and I saw it. And Jerry said he could see the wheels turning in my head being like, am I going to throw this out? And here's the thing, I did. And the reality is they're probably not going to ask about it for 6 months or if they hear this episode. But we have to get a little bit tighter about those expectations. Clearly don't care about the ukulele enough if this is outside for the 3rd day in a row in the rain. So yeah, I don't know. I remember this is my fatal flaw. I told you my kids will be in therapy for me throwing things out. But my kids have too much stuff. And that is fully my fault. Okay. Each kid will be assigned a space in the house to keep tidy daily. This will rotate and it will be a defined room. So like some of the rooms we have like the living room, the flop room, the kitchen, the stairway, the driveway. Each kid is going to have a space. My teenagers love a blanket. They love to come down. We have like a little sitting area in our kitchen and they'll wrap themselves in a blanket. The couches, they'll wrap themselves in a blanket. I fold blankets and pillows 17 times a day. 17 times a day, hands down, no questions asked. And here's the thing. The other day, it was 9:55 and I had a 10 o'clock meeting. And I was doing what every mom does by trying to get one more thing done. And I was walking up the stairs and I saw out of the corner of my eye that 3 blankets were unfolded and the pillows were on the floor. And I said to myself, just takes 30 seconds. So I went and I folded those. And the reality is it just takes 30 seconds. So we did this before in my home, before we moved in together, and it was really successful. And what makes it successful is if one, the spaces rotate so that everybody doesn't always have the same space and we're defined about that. So if Lola has the living room, she's in charge of folding the blankets and putting the pillows. If one of the kids has the flop room, they're in charge of making sure things are hung up and the shoes are put away. If one kid has the stairs, they're responsible for making sure nothing is on the stairs and it's put away in the person's room. I saw this on Instagram a long time ago, and part of it is rooted in teaching our kids that like these are our communal spaces and we're all in charge of helping the family. And so, and again, it will rotate so that somebody's not like, I always have this room and, you know, Lola never folds the blankets and I always have to. So we're going to rotate so that everybody has a chance. But I think that's something really important that we could do a lot better. Okay. Nighttime screen time is available after I wrote outside sweeps, meaning the towels are hung up, scooters are plugged in, helmets are on shelves, balls are in the ball area, bats and sticks away. A parent will check this before nighttime screens. We are getting a pool, which is like so exciting, but I know adding towels to this mix is going to be a whole nother battle. We really need to start doing a nighttime sweep. Ideally, we get to a place where each kid is in charge of their own stuff, but there are too many variables at play, that somebody's friend came over, that somebody else touched it, that it was Marley's and she's already in bed. So part of like, can I go on? Like, I think I've told you guys that me and the teenage boys watch, right now we're watching Ted Lasso. And so most nights we'll watch an episode, or the boys have their Xboxes, the girls like downtime. It's going to be like, we can do that when outside is we've done a full sweep and make sure nothing is left in the yard. This is something I'm going to be super consistent with this summer because it's just becoming so problematic. My kids, I think, are admittedly a little bit worse at it. They like drop something like whatever. So I did a reel about this in the winter. I was like, supermarket sweeps, whoever picks up the most amount of random stuff, because that is my life, running around picking up random things. So we are going to work on making sure everything is taken care of outside. Chalk is another big one with my family. The other day, there was a headless baby doll in the lacrosse net. What is that? So that is something we will work on. Shoes and socks left by the trampoline will result in 1 hour of no trampoline. I was going over these rules with Jerry and he's like, and we pick the hour. It's not like it starts now. It's next time you ask, it'll be like, you can go in 1 hour. Again, this is mostly my kids. A lot of this is mostly my kids. Let's blame age for lack of any other reason. My kids are terrible about it. Well, actually, the boys are pretty bad about it too. They'll walk around in their socks, which drives me bonkers. So again, something that we could do much better. I hope you're hearing that the theme of this is implementation about the adults. It's really important that we follow through. So part of writing this is not just so that the kids know, which is important. I want to preview. I want to talk about replacement behavior, all of that sort of stuff. It's also to hold me accountable. And I will say I am the weak link here. I am. I get sucked into this. I'm going to tell you guys another story about myself. The other day, we were at a soccer game. We'd been at sports all day and the girls were falling apart. It was our last game of the night. Like Lola kicked the ball in Marley's face. Marley was bleeding. Lola ran away. Parker went after her. It was a disaster. But before that, I had told the girls, like, we're going to have ice cream for dinner because there was a great ice cream shop nearby. But I had to call it. Like, I was like, everybody in the car, we're done. So a couple of things. One, replacement behavior. I should have known better than to give them a ball at our 7th ball field of the day. We should have done a calmer activity, a book, coloring, something. But I also said, like, we're going home. We're tapped. No ice cream. I will tell you that I debated in my head with myself the entire way home. Like, is it still a consequence if we go to a different ice cream place? Lola was falling on her sword. Like, don't punish everybody because of me, right? And I will tell you, I got home and I literally said, good job, Mandy, in my own head, not out loud. Like, you stuck to it. So I am equally guilty of being like, And Jerry will say, I negotiate a lot. The boys wrote me a Mother's Day card and our 9-year-old wrote, like, thank you for giving me so many offers. And I think it means that I give him so many choices and negotiate. So again, do as I say, not as I do. But anyway, the point of all these is to hold myself accountable as well. Okay. Real meals must be eaten. So we've talked about picky eaters in our house. The kids are getting better. Basically, I really want to prioritize protein at each meal, and treats will be dependent on this. Again, Jerry was like, you're the one that gives away ice cream all the time. So I'm like, fair. And so this is something I want to be super intentional about. Right now, we have a rule in our home. We get muffins from Costco, and my kids would eat a muffin every single morning if they could. So I was like, you can do muffins twice a week. I know you know where I'm going with this. I'm not very good at keeping track of when those 2 times were. So we might need to go to like it's a Tuesday, it's a muffin day sort of thing. The boys only get Nutella toast. They love Nutella toast once a week. And it's something that we have to be more mindful about because, again, this is my own fault, but it's a very slippery slope into not eating whole food. So I just really want to be intentional about that. This one's for me, 1 to 2 adventures per week, movie, zoo, beach, in addition to beach days. We go to the beach every Monday, ropes courses, etc. I want to make sure that we're, sitting down as a family and deciding what we want to do that week and making sure we're prioritizing family fun to the greatest extent possible. The kids are all still really busy. Screen-free meal times. This is something we as a family are very good at when we have a sit-down meal. But when the kids are eating breakfast or lunch or a late dinner at the counter, we are terrible. And so I might be sitting with a kid and they're just scrolling and like, I get it. I understand wanting to scroll. Believe me. Hello, I'm on Instagram. I absolutely get it. But I think just prioritizing healthy habits around eating, and there's a lot of research that we eat more mindlessly when we're scrolling, so I really want to focus on that. The next one is family dinner 2 times a week. Our sports seasons are so busy that family dinners are one of the things that start to fall through the cracks. So again, Jerry's kids are here 50% of the time. So 2 might be a little lofty depending on like what the makeup of our weekend looks like. But I really think it's important to try to prioritize that. So if the kids are off having fun with their friends, maybe that means Tuesday from 6 to 6:30, we're all home at 6:30. You can go back out. This is a new one. I want each kid to plan and cook a meal with help once a month. It might have to be once every 6 weeks. Again, sometimes it's a little bit tricky. And this doesn't have to be something extravagant. And I will help the kids and I will help them cook. But this is a direction that I want to go in. I think it's important to teach kids how to cook. I think it's important for them to learn how to make the items that they want. And I will absolutely help and I'll help make lists. But I don't know, this is something I'd like to try this summer. So we should do an episode at the end of the summer and revisit all of this. And I can tell you how many of these I'll give myself a score. I like that idea. Okay. Keep laundry in laundry basket and bring it down as needed. I already did my rant on the laundry basket, but for real, if you are listening to this episode, please drop a comment about the laundry basket that is effective in your home. I am open to any and all suggestions. Emptying the car after a Costco run. There's 9 of us. We go to Costco at least once a week. And I also want to delineate that is not a chore. That is a part of being a part of this family. If you're home, you're helping Finn. But I just want to be super clear about that. 30 minutes of reading a day, 5 times a week, especially for my kiddos. This is super important. I would also really love to get to a point where I am reading with them. It's a little bit hard with zone defense, but I think like at least twice a week, I would like to sit with them and read them. This will be the 3rd summer in a row that Lola and I have started Harry Potter. Listen, it's a dyslexic's nightmare. It's every made up word humanly possible. I find it incredibly difficult to read. The only reason I can read it now is because the movies and stuff, I know how to say the characters' names. But again, I would like to follow through with that. That is something we have started and stopped, and I want to be better about that. Okay. Cleaning up after meals into the dishwasher. This is something Lola, and this is definitely an ADHD thing for her. She will just walk away. She will be like, oh, I thought there was a butterfly, or like, oh, I just had to go do this thing. And it drives me nuts. And also we, for some reason, have this, like, everybody stops at the sink. And so then I get onto my soapbox and I was like, and who will put it in the dishwasher? So really prioritizing the kids cleaning up and putting things into the dishwasher. Okay, so those are our family expectations, especially for the younger kids. So remember, 16, 14, and 13-year-old. Our 14-year-old is a hustler. He works for people in the neighborhood. He feeds birds. He picks up sticks. He feeds dogs. He works with this couple in town like twice a week, like tending to their garden and all of that sort of stuff. So he has found a lot of jobs on his own and he works really hard. Our 16-year-old, like I said, we've been hitting the pavement. We've had a couple of interviews, so I feel fairly certain they will have a real job as well. And then we have a 13-year-old where it's a little bit cuspy. So one of the things for the teens in terms of our expectations is must work at least 3 times a week. And I said a real job or working for neighbors, babysitting, helping plan meals or grocery shop, like those are things that could count. So that can count for our 13-year-old. Maybe that means I run an errand and he stays here with the older girls or something like that so that he can get a sense of, basically I want them to work on having a commitment and following through, whatever that might look like. Also, maybe it's working for grandparents, maybe it's, helping the neighbors. And I know that they're young, but I think starting to work on those habits as a teenager is super important. Okay. Must complete chores before leaving with friends or having friends come over. I'm going to read you guys our chore list after this. And I want your input on what the chores are in your home, because it's always fascinating to know what other people are doing and what I am overlooking or whatever that might be. But this is going to be a big one. Like I said, our kids have e-bikes and we are in a very small, very e-bike friendly town, lots of sidewalks, cute little downtown. And I love that. And I love the independence that they have. They're really great about staying in touch. All of that's wonderful. But of course, it's very easy to be like, peace out at 9 a.m. and not see them the rest of the day. And so I just want there to be a fair contribution to the household. And I'm going to read you guys the chores. They're all less than 2-minute chores. So 6 minutes before you leave for the day feels fair. Does anybody else have PTSD from their parents? When I used to get up in the summer when I was probably 14 and older, I would have a list from my mom and then I would compare my list to my brother's list and then I wouldn't do the list and my mom would come home and I'd take the laundry and go hide it in my sister's closet. It's biting me in the butt now, right? Okay. I really want to work on prioritizing real foods. I already touched on that, but I want the kids to have a protein at every meal. We've been talking a lot about what proteins are, what are good sources of protein. One of our picky eaters has a protein shake multiple mornings. And I was like, that's great. That's going to fuel your body, especially if the kids are out in the hot sun and they're being really active. I want to make sure that they're learning how to fuel their body. So we're going to work on that. Summer reading. I don't even know what their summer reading is, but I'm going to find out and I'm going to check in with them and I'm going to try to make it so that they're not either abandoning it completely, not that I ever did that, or slamming it all into the last few weeks of August. The next one, as I'm reading this, I realize this is all about me. Putting laundry into drawers. Okay. This is a me thing. Here's why. I will do their laundry and fold it. And perhaps I need to back off of that. I don't know, but I'm fine with that. And I put it in their drawers now. And here's why. Because they don't care. They don't care. One time I folded you have big loads of laundry. It was a big load of laundry. I folded it all perfectly. And I came in, it was all flipped all over their floor. Now, for starters, I remember doing that as a child, so I get it. But the other part of this is that bothers me. So I maybe need to work on my stuff and being less of a control freak. But I would love to start working on that. And maybe I need to scaffold that. Maybe that means, your laundry's done and I go with them and put it in the drawers. And then maybe I can fade that back. So, God, this is actually sounding like a lot of work for me. I regret making this episode already. Okay, chores. Here's a couple things. Arguing over chores will result in additional chores for both kids. I feel very witty about this one. I feel very good because I know that some of these chores are easier than other chores. And this is something that we might revisit midsummer, the way that it's working out or watching what patterns we're falling into. Maybe we'll have to have a rotation. Maybe we'll have to have assigned chores. I don't know. I'm going to read you guys the chores that we have, and genuinely, please comment with the chores that you have that I might not be thinking of, because there are literally 21 chores, which means on days everybody is here, that is 3 chores each. And I know some of them are not daily chores. So filling the dogs water, feeding the dogs, shedding the dogs. We got a St. Bernard. Restocking the pantry. So if we're low on snacks or stuff, they're kept in the basement. And so I want that restocked. Folding blankets, straightening a room, vacuuming 3 rooms. I just wanted to clarify because that could get a little bit dicey. 3 rooms. Hanging up towels. Like I said, we have a pool this summer, so that's going to be important. Folding towels, taking the trash out, taking the trash or recycling to or from the end of the driveway. That's only twice a week, once to and once from. Charging walkie-talkies. We have a lot of walkie-talkies. Lola has a best friend that lives right around the corner from us, which is very cool. And she can walk there, but she has to take a walkie-talkie so that I can stay in touch with her. Bagging and freezing ice. Okay. We have an ice maker, but I am an ice girl. I want ice in every single drink ever. So we also have a tabletop or a countertop ice maker. But in order to do that efficiently, you have to then bag it and put it in the fridge. So anyway, bagging ice, watering the garden, weeding the garden, mowing the lawn, helping pack a cooler, helping unpack a cooler, emptying bags into the laundry room, especially after beach days. No wet towels left in bags. Helping when asked by mom or dad, emptying the dishwasher, putting toilet paper in the bathrooms. Okay. So those are our chores. That's our layout. A couple of things to keep in mind. I just want to be clear about what my expectations are of people. I want to be clear about what needs to happen. I don't want to get into constant negotiations. I don't want to get into I'll do it later. It's just a slippery slope. If you're listening to this and you think I sound insane and helicoptery, that's fair. Please comment. I can take that criticism, but I'm going to start this way. I'm going to see how it goes. And again, the theme of today's episode is I got to get my butt in gear. And to be honest, that's a lot of what behavior change is being consistent on our part. So I'm starting off the summer very clear. I feel very good about that. And now I'm going to start to get consistent in my implementation. And maybe I will have to lessen my load. I'm shaping my behavior here. I might need to have smaller expectations of myself. So as I mentioned, next Thursday, June 18th at 11 a.m. in the club, we are talking about summer contracts. So if you want to talk about how to implement this with your family, what it looks like with your age group of kids, what are some things that you're really struggling to define, please come. And we're going to talk all about it. And a template of this will be on my website under free resources. And my biggest piece of advice is sit down and talk to your kids. That's how we came up with this. I guided the discussion, but they had lots of input into what exactly that looks like. So I'm really excited. We have 2 more weeks of school. I'm ready for summer, and I'm ready to hit the ground running with our expectations, and I'm ready to hold myself accountable. All right. So thank you so much for joining this week of the Behavior Blueprint podcast. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe, leave me a comment, and let me know what you think. Thanks so much.
If this podcast has helped you even a little bit, leaving a review is one of the biggest ways that you can help me. It helps other parents find the show, and honestly, it helps me know what's landing for you. You can do it right now while you're listening. I would really appreciate it. For information on topics like this and many more, come back to this podcast, The Behavior Blueprint Weekly, and you can always check out my content on Instagram and TikTok at The Family Behaviorist. Thanks so much.